everyone, it's Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe Wanderers and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Grimmer can't release the ball down the middle. Butcher was in acres of space. Kone wins it back. Kone finally finds Butcher. Butcher edge of the penalty area. Goes for goal! Yes! Matt Butcher for Wycombe Wanderers in injury time. He was in acres of space. They finally found him. Matt Butcher with his first goal for the club. Left-footed, drilled it into the bottom corner. And Wycombe Wanderers are minutes away from Wembley. Still time though.
There you go, let's meet it.
Still time for Bradford. Right on the left wing for Bradford now. Crosses low. Strick, great save. Ball into the near post. Strick got down low. And if he wasn't man of the match 30 seconds ago, he is now.
He definitely is now.
96 minutes. Matt Bloomfield, a year to the day since taking the job, has steered the Chairboys to a Wembley final. April the 7th, Wycombe Wanderers will take on Peterborough United at the home of football. A great anniversary for the gaffer, a great night for Wycombe Wanderers.
Closing stages from last night up at Bradford being described by Phil, who we'll hear from again in a moment, and Beverly Labala, of course, providing some excellent co-commentary. Welcome to this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show. More on tonight's Bristol Street Motors semi-final win, a 1-0 victory, of course, a goal in stoppage time if you haven't heard, setting up a final on April the 7th against Peterborough United at Wembley. Also in this hour we'll hear from Matt Cecil a bit later on, the club's head of media and marketing, his fan club run, talking a bit about some behind the scenes coverage from last night as well up at Valley Parade, and good news, he didn't slip over as he did the previous visit as well. It was quite muddy. Also, thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we'll catch up with Chris Vinnicombe and get his thoughts and memories, of course, with the FA Cup quarter-finals approaching next week. It'd be great to reminisce with him about that run in 2001. Can't believe it's 20 years ago that he left the club after Tony Adams, not long after Tony Adams took over. Thanks to Wycombe Wanderers Women, we'll hear from Erin Patterson as well, who's broken through from the under-23s into the first team as a centre-back / left-back as well. But first, let's catch up with Phil. And of course, one of the big issues as raised in last night's commentary was, has he found out what the traffic light system above the tunnel means?
I didn't. You know what? I asked a lot of people in Bradford sort of coats and stuff who looked like they knew what they were doing and worked there. And no one could tell me why there's a set of traffic lights above the tunnel at Valley Parade. But it's very much green lights for Wycombe Wanderers in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy after last night.
It's very, very exciting. You mentioned coats, actually. That seemed to be the reason for a booking for Luke Leahy as well.
Yes, a yellow card for drying the ball on a steward's coat. Yeah, because towels have been banned pitch side this season in the new laws of the game for this campaign. And that also extends to coats. To be honest with you, we'll have to ask Luke about this next time he's in the studio, but I've not worn a steward's coat, but they don't look particularly sort of absorbent. I can't imagine much drying would have been done on the coat. But either way, it ate up some seconds and he got a yellow card. But fortunately, not enough yellow cards at this stage of the tournament to rule him out of the final, which is very important.
No, absolutely. But really, really pleasing, obviously, to get the result. Not the best of performances, very tricky conditions, but, you know, for a team which seems to be known recently for conceding late goals, fantastic to score one.
Yeah, a 91st minute winner in a cup semi-final is great, isn't it? And look, we've had some heartbreak on the road up north this season, late goals. Wigan, Barnsley, there's two. I mean, Bolton was a late second, but we got an even later consolation. But late goals have hurt us at home as well. So to not play well and get the win was hugely important, I think, last night, especially in a cup competition, of course. And it gives the club, the fans, the town a day, hopefully, to remember at Wembley Stadium. But, you know, I think talking to the gaffer afterwards, you could see, you know, he felt that I think maybe we needed that little bit of luck at some point in this season, and we've been unlucky at times. And you know, he works hard. I think he understands he makes his own luck, but It was great to speak to the gaffer just after the full-time whistle.
Yeah, I would have liked to have done it with a bit of a better performance, if I'm honest. But to win the game and take us to Wembley is it's an incredibly proud moment, because everyone's known how much I love this club, and to lead us, to be a manager here is incredible for me personally. But to be able to take our fans and our players to Wembley and be that leader there, I'm so chuffed, so pleased.
You mentioned there the performance, but sometimes in cup football the performance doesn't matter, it's the scoreline. You've often talked about the performance being there at times this season and the results not being there. Today it was the opposite.
Absolutely, it was, and that's the honesty from me. I always try and say it how I see it. There's been moments this year, and I've spoken to so many experienced managers who've told me, these things even themselves out, and you'll get the luck back at times. And they say you earn your luck. I think the resilience the boys have shown, the willingness to bounce back from, we've taken some tough knocks, and they've kept going. They've believed in what we're trying to do. And I thought there was some real good defensive performances tonight. Obviously, I'd have loved to have come and played the way we've been recently, but to win the game and get to Wembley is all that matters.
The pitch, let's talk about it. We're sinking as we speak on the corner of this pitch.
Yep.
You bounded out of the tunnel before kick-off and said, let's play this game.
Yeah, absolutely. But I knew in the back of my mind that it was going to cause us a problem. I knew that they were going to be more used to it than what we were, because we're really fortunate with Adams Park. It's one of the best pitches in the league, and I knew it was going to be an issue to us, but I didn't want to show any that to the boys, because I wanted us to approach it with the respect the tie deserved, and I wanted us to approach it head on. It's actually a pitch I'd have loved to have been out there with the boys tonight and really getting stuck in. But yeah, it is what it is. There's nothing we could have done about that. It wouldn't have changed if we come back in a couple of weeks. Just would have added to the fixture schedule. I wanted to get the job done tonight, and I'm really pleased we have.
Sometimes when you're away from home and the crowd as well, adding to it, bad pitch, Max Strick really pulled us out of it at times tonight.
Absolutely he did. He made some great saves. I think we've seen over his nearly 2 seasons here that he's got that ability to go and make those saves. And like I say, I'm pleased for Maxi, because he's had a couple of tough moments this year, and he's really bounced back the last couple of months. I feel like his performances have really improved. So as a group, to share that moment with them in there, that's why we all do what we do. It's the drug that you can't put down, because when you get to share those moments with people that you love and respect so much, it's incredible. Got to be really pleased with that.
Some great contributions from the bench, but none more so than Matt Butcher. That's some first goal for your club.
Yeah, he's. I think he's first and foremost. He's very us. Wycombe. He's very Wycombe. He's such a proper person, team before self at all times. As soon as he became available, I got a couple of real good references from people I know extremely well and trust their opinions, and I just felt like it suited both parties. He's been really, really good for us. Finds himself really unfortunate off the back of the amount of minutes he's played off not playing at Plymouth to miss out on the last 2 games, but to come on and have that kind of impact, to have him, Sco and Potts, Lukey's gone in midfield as well tonight at the end there, and we're really fortunate in that area. It's an incredible competition for places, and it was a great finish from Butch. So real good guy. He's going to be a real good player for this football club.
Injury time winner in front of the 286 fans who travelled here as well in bad conditions. It doesn't get sweeter than that, does it?
It doesn't, no, because we've all been there. We've had some tough moments, those late goals that have really hurt us at times this season, and we've had to take the knocks, and you have to bounce back, and you have to find that resilience and character to keep going, because professional football, you do have tough moments. So to share that with our supporters, with my staff, not my staff, our staff, the group of people we have, the lads in the change room who have never doubted, just stuck to what we've known where we're going. There's still a lot of work to go, but yeah, to have a night like tonight is extremely special, mate.
There's a lot of league football to play before Wembley on the 7th of April, but what's it going to feel like to lead Wycombe Wanderers out as a manager? You've been there as a player. What's it going to be like as a manager?
It's the kind of stuff dreams are made of, isn't it? Because, I was very fortunate to go there as a player, as a captain, as a coach, to be manager. I saw the gaffer before do it a couple of times, and the pride that it filled him with, and the pride that it will fill me with. The only thing I know is that it's the best place to win, but it's the worst place to lose. So we have to go there and enjoy it, but look to go and win. We've also got lots of work to do before then, lots of league games that we need to go and get points from. We want to go and get points from. So I need to calm them lot down and get them recovering, because we've got a big game at Stevenage on Saturday.
Really pleasing for him to hear from him, and also really pleasing that it happened to fall on the 1 year anniversary of him taking charge, and really interesting that he said there as well that he came sort of bouncing out of the tunnel and really wanted the game to go ahead.
Yeah, I think the pitch was, let's be honest, it was atrocious. And I think had it not been a cup game in front of the cameras, maybe a more high profile, a league game, then that game wouldn't have taken place. And I think, I went pitchside after the game, and it was incredibly soft. Moisture was coming up from the pitch. Even when we were walking across it, it rained during the game. We spoke to the guys setting up the Sky cameras. When we arrived, they'd been there at lunchtime and said the pitch was sort of largely underwater in the morning. The heavy rain stopped and they worked hard on the pitch, but there's very little grass. It looks to be a bit of a bog, and I think Matt Bloomfield was like, look, we've got to get this game on. Let's get it on and let's see what happens. Bradford have been really good at home of late, and I think they play the pitch to their advantage. They're used to it. They play on it week in, week out, and Wycombe didn't play well at all. I'm not saying the pitch is an excuse for the poor performance, because I thought Wycombe were poor in terms of their performance last night, but resilient. Max Striek, superb. I thought Jolo and Tafazoli were dogged as well at the back, and sometimes you need to grind stuff out. We've seen teams do it against us this season, and it was nice to do it to somebody else. And the late winner as well, the icing on the cake. Richard Kone made a great impact from the bench, as did Matt Butcher, obviously, with a fabulous strike. And what a time to get your first goal for the club in front of the away fans as well. Lovely scenes.
The conditions must have been so challenging. There was a bit that I caught in the commentary which stood out. Probably doesn't stick out to anyone else, but I think it was for the host, and you were talking about that there were a free kick, and you said they placed the ball on a piece of mud, and I just thought that could have been anywhere on the pitch, couldn't it? Really?
Well, yeah, the grass is a scarce commodity on the pitch at Valley Parade, and. Yeah, but it's the same for both sides, obviously. But Bradford do have the edge because they're a bit more used to it. But they could feel very hard done by Bradford, and hats off to everyone at the club. It was a fantastically warm welcome from the staff and stewards there. Their fans really got behind their team, and especially when the 91st minute goal went in, the Bradford fans reacted immediately and started getting behind their team straight away, which was great to see from their point of view. And obviously at the end, it wasn't the result they were after. But we wish them all the best for the rest of the season. They're 2 points outside the playoffs now in League Two, along with a whole host of other teams. If they perform like they did last night regularly, then who knows? They may end up at Wembley anyway.
Great to have some really great insight from your co-commentator last night, who was great too.
Yeah, Beverly Labala, first time on commentary, cup tied. So, he was just pleased to be able to take part in the game in some capacity. And more importantly, he's going to have fresh legs on Saturday for the game against Stevenage, because obviously we sit down and do the commentary. And he was great to hear his insight as well. And he's settled in superbly at Wycombe, I think, in terms of his attitude and around the place and connecting with the other boys. So yeah, hopefully we can see him opening his account for Wycombe very, very soon. He had that great chance, didn't he, against Oxford, and hopefully a goal will come on Saturday at the Lamex.
It does feel like a really tight turnaround, but you get the impression that the players are all buoyed by what happened last night.
Look, that was a really, really heavy pitch. Fortunately, there's no extra time or anything like that, or energy sapping penalties. I think the fact that we won will help massively in the recovery. I think a defeat after a long journey and a poor performance would have been hard to take. But they stayed up in Bradford after the game, so they travelled down the day after. It's all about recovery now and getting everybody fit and ready for what's going to be another, I would imagine, quite brutal game at Stevenage. Their physical affairs, it certainly was earlier on in the season. I'm guessing the pitch at the Lamex is slightly better than the one at Bradford, which will help. But look, Stevenage are in a sticky place at the moment. They're having a bit of a bump in the road, and they've fallen just outside the top six. They've had a fabulous season up to now. We know it's going to be a tough game, and there's a score to settle from earlier in the season.
No, absolutely. We're hoping that the conditions won't have too much of an impact, because it must be quite hard. You mentioned last night in the commentary Josh Scone was taken off because obviously he's just coming back, and it must be quite hard to not literally get stuck in the mud.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hamstrings, isn't it? Running around on heavy pitches like that, you've got to manage loads of players, and we've still got a long way to go in the season yet. And there's some vital league games for Wycombe Wanderers before now, and the final at Wembley on the 7th of April. Wouldn't it be great if we can put a run of results together between now and April and put some real distance between ourselves and the bottom four, so we could really enjoy that day in April at Wembley. You don't want to be looking over your shoulder going into that game. So there's an opportunity now, starting at Stevenage, to get some wins on the board in the league and hopefully get a run of form.
And great to get a great result at Stevenage as well, especially considering what happened when they came to Adams Park.
Look, like I said earlier on, that was a really tough game for many reasons. Stevenage were clinical on the day. They got the goal and they saw it out, and full credit to them. And like I said, they've had a really good season up to now. They are suffering a little bump in the road. And Steve Evans has bemoaned some refereeing decisions that have gone against him, as do all managers, I guess. But Wycombe Wanderers can hopefully use that platform of Wednesday night to get over the tired legs and put in a real good shift at the Lamex. I'm sure there will be rotation and fresh legs, and we'll see what happens.
And hopefully, if it does feel like we say this a lot, but there's some big games coming up as well, but this hopefully will be the start of a great run, which will see us climb the table.
Yeah, this is a couple of big games coming up now. Stevenage, then we've got Cheltenham at home on Tuesday, and that literally is three games inside a week, because it's Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. And so that's going to be hard, to manage the load on that. We know that Cheltenham was a tough game as well at their place not that long ago, a few weeks ago. And since Cheltenham lost that game, they've put on a really good run of results and lifted themselves to the very edge of the relegation zone, which the start of the season they had it's almost unthinkable. So they're actually in a false position under Darryl Clark, and that's going to be a really, really tough game as well on Tuesday. So it's important that Wycombe recover and get themselves set and concentrated on the league now.
Well, it's brilliant to speak to you. Enjoy the game on Saturday.
I certainly will. Thank you, Colin.
Phil, of course, he'll be bringing you ball-by-ball match commentary on Saturday up at Stevenage. He was at Valley Parade last night, and of course, don't forget you can hear more of that chat with Matt Bloomfield on Wanderers TV. Luke was at the Caledonian Suite last night.
I was Team Caledonian.
You were wearing the home shirt.
I was wearing the home shirts. Very good. That was much better. Well done.
It looked, just from the pictures, it sounded as well like a great atmosphere there.
Oh, it really was. It was, I think, around 200 fans there, I believe. And yeah, it was some points a little bit more frostier than others.
Ooh.
As there was, it's well noted that possibly Wycombe didn't play the best last night. But the moment that we scored, and it's been shared on social media, and there's more of it in pre-match drills tonight on Wanderers TV, was excellent. Look out for me running.
Ooh.
That doesn't happen a lot.
No, it's a rare sight.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, every time you watch it, there is someone else that you spot that's reacting slightly differently, and it's really nice. And we've got the full-time reaction, and it all linked up with the commentary and pictures from Luke Jarrett as well.
I imagine there were a lot of the edges of seats used.
Yes, especially afterwards. I mean, there was Max last night was absolutely on fire, and especially the save right before the full-time whistle. There was some moments where people were nearly passing out.
It was great to get those images on social media as well, just of the dressing room afterwards and on the pitch too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people last night, me included, felt like we were about 1 million miles away from Bradford. And I think a lot of people spent last night, the players included, refreshing feeds to try and get the latest photos. But yeah, great scenes, well done to the Chairboys, and off to Wembley again.
Very exciting. And some great other content on Wanderers TV and on the website as well.
So pre-match drills is out at some point this evening. 40 minutes of content, including the Eden half-term activities even.
Was there a half-time?
It was a half-time. Phil made the exact same mistake as well, and it was cut. So believe me, that happened.
It's catching.
So yeah, lots going up, and there's still plenty more to show from last night as well.
And make sure you check out Wanderers TV for more details. The Wycombe Wanderers Show continues here on Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from Matt Cecil, head of media and marketing at the club too. We'll also catch up with Erin Patterson from Wycombe Wanderers Women. Her fans are in as well. Played the same person. Played for the under-23s and also made a number of first team appearances this season as well. But first, with thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we're very fortunate to get to catch up with many former Wanderers stars. But of course, with the FA Cup quarter-finals taking place in just a few days' time, it obviously highlights a particular FA Cup run in that competition back in 2001, which Chris Vinnicombe played in. Fantastic to catch up with the defender and get his memories of his time at the club.
I think he came down for a trial originally, because I left Burnley, and then came down, and Neil Smiley was manager at the time, and he offered me down for I think it was down for a couple of weeks trial to play sort of games in pre-season. One of the games I sort of missed because I became ill just before kick-off. I think I got a high temperature and I couldn't play that game, but there was several more games over the next sort of week and a half that I could sort of play, and he wanted to sign me in the end. So I was there for, four and a half years maybe.
And you did have a really interesting football journey before coming to the club as well, of course.
Yes, yeah. Obviously going from Exeter City when I first started playing to Glasgow Rangers, playing with Chris Woods in goal, Terry Butcher, Nigel Spackman, who went on to play for Liverpool, Mark Walters, Liverpool, Mark Haitley up front. It was a good experience for me, being so young, playing with those sort of experienced players. But, it's you sort of make the move being young. I didn't play that many games, but, for me to sort of, get the experience off those players was, sort of vital to my career, I guess. And then I went to Burnley. They just got promoted to what is the Championship nowadays. And I had a couple of nasty injuries there. I broke my jaw playing against Reading for Burnley. And I actually broke my leg at Wycombe playing for Burnley. Yeah, so coming back to Wycombe, after breaking my leg at, for Burnley there was, I'd obviously, been on that pitch before, so I knew what the stadium was like and, what the fans could be like.
It really felt like you settled in really quickly and soon established yourself as well in the heart of the defence.
Yes. Obviously, Neil Smiley wanted to sign me and, get me into the team as sort of quickly as possible. It was a massive, boost for myself and, for the club and the fans, really, because, for me to sort of come to a sort of, a progressing, growing club, I wanted to sort of, make the fans realise that, I'm there playing for the fans and the club and, the sort of my fellow sort of teammates and the manager as well, wanting to get the best out of, myself and my teammates, and, sort of get us to, sort of hopefully glory days, which, we sort of reached the semi-final of the FA Cup, which was nice.
No, absolutely. And it felt like, Neil wasn't in charge for too long. That must have been quite disappointing for you, being, the manager who brought you to the club.
Yes, football is a funny old game, really. Especially as a manager. You can be in a job, one day and out the job the next. So, for him to sign me was, I thank him for that. And then obviously, Laurie Sanchez came in and sort of, stamped his authority on the team. And if you continue, it doesn't matter who's sort of in charge, whether the manager stays for a week or 2 years or 3 years or 6 months, you've got to keep doing what you're doing on the pitch. Don't worry about who's taking charge or anything like that. As long as you're performing and doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, it was just a shame that Neil didn't stay longer.
And obviously you had some great characters in the team around that time with you as well.
Yes, yeah. Some very strong characters, some sort of characters that have, been there for a while. Steve Brown. Obviously Martin Taylor was a goalkeeper. You got Keith Ryan, who's the captain. So yeah, it's, whatever club you go to, you've always got, characters and sort of, people that sort of, make you laugh and, sort of give you support and everything like that. So yeah, it was a good time for myself.
So you've got the FA Cup quarter-finals coming up next week. Does that kind of really sort of prick your memory every time that comes around, especially with that run that you're involved with?
Yes, every time, the FA Cup, comes around this time of year, it sort of, brings back the memories of, what Wycombe Wanderers did, leading up to the semi-final against Liverpool, and those sort of memorable games that we had. What sticks out for me is Roy Essendo scoring the winner against Leicester, finding him on teletext, which was a dream for him. And then obviously the Wimbledon game where it went to penalties, and we're having to sort of, get through on those penalties. I think it was 8-7, I do believe, to Wycombe that night.
No, absolutely, and just so many kind of aspects of that run as well. Even earlier rounds against like the likes of Grimsby and that, it must have felt at the time that you were capable of something quite special.
Yes, obviously, sort of winning the early rounds, you sort of hope that you get to the next round and sort of beat the team in front of you. Obviously we had that fantastic run that led us to the semi-final, and those games are sort of, one-off games. Anything can happen. It doesn't matter whether you're top of the league or bottom of the league. The FA Cup is special in so many ways.
And I remember, so obviously talked about around the town, and everyone's so much looking forward to the semi-final at Villa Park, and of course Rhino's goal as well. It was just such a brilliant occasion. Yeah,
it was. It's just a shame that we didn't score that goal earlier. We might have put a little bit more pressure on Liverpool, and maybe snuck an equaliser late on, but for sort of Rhino to score late on, it didn't give us much time to try and get another one, which was a shame.
And even in the quarterfinal as well, such drama with Laurie being sent off and Roy getting that late goal, as you say, after being found after an appeal on telly. So there's so much interest around the club and kind of very sort of Wycombe-esque journey, really.
Yes, when things like that happen and you sort of watch it on sort of Match of the Day, you see obviously like Laurie getting sent off and Roy scoring the winner, and everybody sort of celebrating with the fans after. That's what it's about. It's for the fans as well as the sort of players and the club as a whole. But the fans don't get to see many sort of semi-finals or finals very often.
No, absolutely, because it must have been great for you as well to be part of that team, but also to see the team go on into the playoff finals and obviously getting up into the championship as well.
Yes, definitely. That's everybody's dream, to play as high as they can and get to the levels that of the Premiership. Being sort of Wycombe Wanderers, they done fantastic to get to the Championship on, I should imagine, probably one of the smallest budgets that would have been in the Championship at the time. It's just a shame that they couldn't sort of stay in the Championship and sort of build from there, really.
No, absolutely. And so great that you're able to, as I say, get so established at the club and make that number 3 shirt your own. And I'm sure you couldn't have imagined at the time you'd have been making over 250 appearances. No, you always, hope that, you don't get any injuries or anything like that, and you stay a regular in the team and make, like you say, as many appearances as you can over your time that you spend there. So for me to sort of do that for the club was, I'm sort of proud of that, because, sort of other clubs, I, sort of had several injuries along the way, which put me out for quite a bit of time. So, my time at sort of Wycombe was, even though it was coming towards the end of my career, it was probably, I'd say, probably one of the best times of my career. And are there any other standout games or occasions that really come to mind during your time at the club?
No, not really. I can remember scoring a goal, scoring a worldie at Adams Park. I'm sure it was against possibly Sheffield United or Brentford, maybe. I can't remember, but yeah. But one memory that stands out, we played. I remember playing Middlesbrough in the cup, and Paul Gascoigne was playing. And he was just running around the pitch, just taking the mickey out of people. And I found that so funny, but he was such a fantastic player. Whenever you were near him, he would take the mickey out of you, and sort of stuff like that, and just make you laugh. And then when he was on the ball, he was unbelievable. You couldn't get near him. So, that sort of stands out for me. But, my time at Wycombe is, very memorable. Like I say, especially the sort of the cup run. That sort of really sticks in my mind.
And how did you find it playing under the different managers? Because obviously you were there for such a while. As you say, Neil brought you in, and there was Laurie, and Terry Evans obviously took over for a bit, and John Gorman as well. Yes,
like I say, as long as I was doing okay on the pitch, and the sort of management team was seeing that, it's that's something that's out of all the players' hands. Whoever comes in to take charge. So, whoever comes in, they have their favourites. They sort of, they pick the team. So if you're seen to be doing what you're supposed to be doing, then there's no reason why you don't stay in the team. If you're sort of, not being shown on a training pitch or whatever what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not at 100%, then they're not going to play you. It was just the same when Tony Adams came in and took over. It's just a shame that he tried to make us like Arsenal, and when we weren't like Arsenal. And that's what sort of made the team a little bit worse, because he just came in thinking he could do it, and with the players that we had in the squad, we weren't strong enough to sort of adjust to that, how quickly he wanted us to. If he had sort of stayed there for a couple of seasons and sort of ground it into us how Arsenal played, or how he wanted us to play like Arsenal, then maybe it would have worked out for him. But it's just one of those things. A manager will turn up and be brilliant, and the team he picks will be fantastic. But then another manager will turn up and he'll try and do things, and they just don't work. And I feel that's what happened with sort of Tony Adams.
It was especially disappointing as fans as well, because they felt like there was a real sort of clear out, wasn't there, after the relegation, and obviously disappointing for yourself too, because that was the time that you went also.
Yes, yeah. Obviously, with everything that sort of goes on, football's like that. You could be at a club one day, and then the next week you could be at the door because of cutbacks, or because the manager doesn't want you in his squad, or anything like that. But yeah, it was a shame. But I was coming towards the end of my career then anyway, so I was 34, I think, when I left there, 2004. I came back, yeah. So yeah, but whatever club I've been at, since I sort of started my football career, there's always been good memories, and sort of players I've played against and played with, and so I've sort of it'd be something to tell my grandchildren when they grow up a bit bigger, that everything that sort of Grandad has done through his football career, and the memories that I've got that are around the house, really, that they can sort of keep when I'm long gone.
Does it feel like 20 years ago? I was quite shocked to read that it was 2004 that you left. It feels like so much more recently, but perhaps to you it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, it does feel like a long time ago. When you say 2004 and you think it's now 2024, that is a long time. Yeah, so I'm 54 this year. So yeah, it is a long time.
It's frightening, isn't it, how quickly time goes. And obviously you went back to the southwest, which is kind of where you're based now, and enjoyed kind of the latter stages of your career, and did some coaching after playing as well.
Yeah, so I ended up playing for Tiverton Town for, I think it was like 3 seasons, and then I went back to Exeter City for a season just to help out their sort of youngsters that were in and around the squad. And then I came out of there, and then I went into sort of for a little side and just kept playing, done some coaching for Arsenal, who were down in the southwest, and then it changed to Southampton. So I've done some sort of coaching for them down in the area, as well as being a PE teacher. Now I'm working, because COVID hit, I had to change my job, and now I'm working for Southwest Water. So I'm a manager at Southwest Water.
Oh, fantastic. Well, hopefully you're enjoying it, and you're healthy, and your family as well. We had Andy Rammell on the show recently. You might be aware of him. He was saying that he doesn't sort of watch football as much now. I guess some players, they like to watch it, and some players, just kind of move away from the game.
No, I was telling John, like, if I was injured or anything like that, I hated watching football in the stand, because I just felt like I wanted to get out there. So any sort of live game that I was watching, it was just like, I don't really want to watch this. But some people do like watching it, and some people don't. They'd rather be playing, which I was one of those. But I do watch the Premiership games on the telly, and then obviously watch sort of Match of the Day, and sort of the FA Cup games when they're on, just to see like the little sides that are trying to do well in it.
And do certain things really take you back to times in your career? For example, I was watching a lot of the Africa Cup of Nations games, and certainly a lot of the latter stages ones went to penalties. And do you often, think of the penalty you scored, for example, against Wimbledon, or other particular goals that you've scored? Obviously, as a defender, not too many, but goals that that really stand out. Or if something happens in a game, you think, oh, I remember when I went through something similar to that.
Yeah, my wife Paula, like whenever football's on, she like says, "Oh, I can remember when you scored a goal like that," or she's saying sort of things like that. That player just dives, and like, do you remember that tackle you did for up in Scotland that was on sort of sports scene at the time, but a bit like Match of the Day up there, where the opening clips were me virtually doing a 2-footed tackle on one of the players. But nowadays you wouldn't get away with that. But sort of, back in sort of my early days, it was like, you could go around kicking people and get away with it.
Is it really nice to kind of reflect on your career, as you say, with your wife or grandchildren in the future, and just say, I played in the FA Cup, or I played at Ibrox, or, I played for England under 21s, just some of the things that you did, and perhaps at the time you didn't really sort of think, these are really great things.
No, you don't. Obviously, because you're sort of constantly playing football, you don't think about, the future and what you can celebrate. But, I've got, I've got all the sort of memorabilia and shirts from, me playing football at all my clubs. So, whenever my grandchildren are old enough and I can, get them out and show them this is what Grandad played with for England and stuff like that, they'll only recognise when they're growing up the players that are at the time. So in another sort of 10 years' time, because Lacey's 3 in August, she'll be, in 10 years' time when she's 13, she might be wanting to support Exeter City and going to watch Exeter City and only known those players that are playing sort of at the time, and just be recognising some of the players that are in the Premiership. Because I'm sure in 10 years' time there'll be, it'll be all changed in all clubs for, all the top players.
Who knows what division Exeter will be in by then?
Well, who's to say? Hopefully in 10 years' time, Wycombe will be in the Premiership. Who's to say?
No, absolutely. It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard to imagine, what direction a club could go in, or who a manager could be, or what players they could sign. It must be really exciting as well, 'cause I guess especially players who are playing in your position, that to see how well they're doing, especially youngsters.
Yes, yeah. It's always nice to sort of see, players that you play with at clubs that go on and progress to the maximum they can get to, and if they play higher, you always keep an eye on them and see how they're getting on. Nowadays there's so many youngsters in the game that are trying to break into the first teams in all clubs. And even at when I was coaching for Southampton, I could sort of see potential in sort of 11, 12, 13-year-olds, and I sort of keep an eye on the clubs that they're at now and just see whether they are breaking into the first teams, because that was 6-7 years ago. So the 13-year-olds are probably coming up 19, 20 now, and they would be possibly breaking into the teams that they were signed for. So I always look out for the odd player that I recognise names and see if they have managed to sort of break into the professional game.
And just finally, how do you reflect overall on your time at the club? Because it was a fantastic spell, and a real favourite with the fans as well. You must have really enjoyed your time there.
I loved it there, if I'm honest. The fans were great. I can remember being fans player of the year, which was great from my point of view, because it sort of showed that the fans appreciated me and what I was doing on the pitch to try and win things and try and get Wycombe up the leagues and stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it at Wycombe. So I thank everybody at the club, that was there at the time. Actually, John said that he'd say hello to Alan Hutchinson. Certainly a memorable time for me coming towards the end of my career. I thank everybody and all the fans for what they sort of supported me through and supported me with, really.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to catch up with you. Really great to share your memories, and really appreciate your time.
No problem at all.
Fantastic to catch up with Chris Vinnicombe. I remember when I started in local radio, it was just when he signed for the club. Some sad news to report from the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association as well. We send our condolences to the family of Josephine, who's the wife of club director David Cook, who sadly died at the age of 78 after battles with cancer. She was a personal friend of JDT and his family as well. And he's described her as an unassuming ally to us at the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, and supported her husband in all his long hours of work for the club. You can find more words on that on the Ex-Players Association Facebook page, and also on the Wycombe Wanderers website as well.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show still to come. We'll hear from Matt Cecil, who we spoke to on this morning's mid-morning, about some behind-the-scenes news of last night's coverage. Oh, spooky. Wasn't Halloween. Of last night's game up at Bradford. I forgot where I was going with that.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, more on that shortly. But first, we're regularly following Wycombe Wanderers Women. Not long of their season to go. I think it's only 4 more games, and possibly only 1 more at home as well. I've been speaking to a number of their players, and recently we've caught up with a couple of the youngsters who've progressed from the under-23s right up to the first team. One of those is Erin Patterson, who, as you can imagine, is pleased to have stepped up.
Do you know what? I've actually really enjoyed it. It's been a massive step up. So from my previous club, I feel like I've stepped into proper adult football, which has been really good for me. I feel like I've matured as a player and kind of seen different aspects that I never really had before. I've been really enjoying it.
So what would you say have been the main differences?
So obviously I play mostly for the under-23s, but that's in a women's league. So it stepped up from playing with girls my age to playing against women who take this seriously, who have a full-time job outside of football, and it's really interesting to see like the dedication people are willing to put into it, and I really enjoy that.
And have you noticed the development of your own game as well in that time?
Yeah, 100%. I think at the start of the season I was probably not as confident because obviously joining a new club, but I've definitely become more confident and more like hold myself a bit stronger because you kind of have to. Like, obviously I play as a defender. Any little mistake can cost you, so I've got to kind of be on it. I've learned from Macca and Carl and Dan my body positioning, which is obviously really important as a defender. And I think just little things like that has really built up my play.
And have you been quite pleased to be able to show versatility by playing in different positions? Because I know predominantly you're a centre-back, but you played at left-back as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I've really enjoyed it because it's given me different perspectives. I never really kind of wanted to play left or right back, but obviously that's the nature of the game. You just kind of have to go where it takes you. And I've really enjoyed it. You know, it's a lot more running, but it's been good.
And could you see yourself moving? Perhaps if someone suggested to you, have you considered midfield or, perhaps a bit further forward?
I wouldn't mind playing a central defending midfielder. I played that a couple of seasons ago, but I'm quite happy staying at the back. I think it gives me a lot of really good vision of the field. I can see where everything is, and I'm quite comfortable with that. I think going up forward might cause mayhem, to be honest.
And what's your kind of overall view of how, especially what the first team's been doing? Because you've been, fortunate enough to play in the first team, and especially in the game against Bournemouth as well. Yeah.
Do you know what? I've been really lucky, I think. Well, not necessarily lucky. I've obviously put the work in training, but I'm really happy to have been a part of the first team. The girls are so lovely. They've been really accommodating of me and all the other 23 players. Because at the end of the day, what the club wants to make the first team the best, and they've all been really supportive with it. I think it's definitely raised my levels training with the first team as well. Even some of the 18s have been playing for the first team. They've been playing with us, and it's definitely a clear kind of, as you said, pathway up until the first team, and then you kind of feel like you've made it. Like everyone's a lot more serious, I'd say, in the first team. They want the same goals, and been training with the first team as well kind of allows that pathway to run a lot smoother. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's been good.
It seems so inclusive, doesn't it? Like the first team are really keen, supporting the under-18s, or can really, I guess, give advice and inspire, the under-23s and similar back the other way as well. Yeah,
definitely. I've had a few of the first team obviously settling in, like Chelsea and Ash. They've been really good, just kind of helping me, just telling me how it is, not kind of babying me or anything. They've just kind of told me how it is, how I can better my game, which is really good.
It feels as well like it's sort of impossible to feel new as well, because you kind of get welcomed straight away and really settle and fit in.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like there's been new players during the season come in and they fit in really quickly. It doesn't feel like they're new or anything. Everyone just kind of gets along and gets on with it.
And does it feel like for yourself a really good time to be where you are in your career, I guess? Because, to some you all seem very, very young, but I guess to a lot of people as well, they kind of look up to you and would like to be kind of at the stage you're at too.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I'm really happy in the place that I am. Obviously, I feel like, as I said, it's kind of moving in adults that we can see the club wanting to grow, and I think that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to continue playing for Wycombe.
And just with the popularity of women's football generally, it must be a great feeling to be part of it.
Oh, definitely. I literally can't talk enough about the growing game. I went to Arsenal-Man United game at the Emirates the other day,
oh, wow.
And it was like record attendance, and you can just kind of feel the buzz of everyone's just there to see these players, and it's amazing. I love it. Even watching them on the TV, like during the Euros and the World Cup, honestly, I was crying at the Euros final.
And do you sort of take things away from watching them? Because I tell this story quite a bit, but I got to see the Wycombe Wanderers Women when they played at Adams Park for their cup, and there were some young girls quite near me, and they were kind of really watching what the players were doing, and so we need to take that into our training for our teams.
Yeah, well, definitely. As I said, I went to the Arsenal-Man United game. I was watching the defenders and seeing what they did well, what I thought, my coach would say to do this. Do you know what I mean? Trying to kind of incorporate that into my game.
No, definitely. And what are your hopes finally for the remainder of the season? Because there's not many games left now in terms of the first team. Also the under-23s as well.
Yeah, I think my next game for the 23s is the 10th of March, which is quite a while away. I think I'm just going to try, hopefully win the rest of the games with the 23s, try and get as high up as we can in the table. I'm not sure whether we can make first still, but I think we've got a good chance of getting second or third. And the same with the first team. I'll hopefully continue to work hard in training, continue to get picked for the first team, and then with the best outcome as possible.
And do you set yourself goals, like things you'd like to achieve between now and the remainder of the season or overall in the season?
Yeah, I think I definitely in the overall of the season, like however many goals I'd like to score or clean sheets or whatever. For the rest of the season, I've not got any specific targets, but I think just to work hard in training, to be honest, that's the most important thing to me.
And what's it like balancing, everything you do kind of outside of football with obviously training and playing as well?
It's not so much of a balance. I think football definitely lets me kind of breathe a bit, get a runabout, and then obviously I get tired, so I always get a good night's sleep. But yeah, no, everyone's quite supportive of it at school. They all know that I play football and everyone's aware of it, that obviously I've got this commitment. At work, they know I play football, so I have this commitment. And yeah, everyone's really accommodating of it. It's not too hard, but if I ever need support, it's always there.
Great chatting to Erin. Don't believe she's only 17, though. Speaks far too well.
What? Very impressive.
Yeah.
Well done, Erin.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still can't talk that good.
No, you've been working on it for years.
Yeah, I know.
Tell us who the Chair Girls have next.
They are playing Ascot United FC on the 25th of February at 2 o'clock. It's the penultimate home game of the season.
And we wish them much luck for that.
Yes, we do.
Look forward to chatting to more Chair Girls in the coming weeks as well. Just to let you know, on this morning's mid-morning, we spoke to Matt Cecil, who's the, well, you might well know already, he's the head of media and marketing. And if you're listening to the commentary with Phil last night, you'll know that last time he was at Valley Parade, he slipped over. So was the mud. I'm pleased to report that didn't happen again.
I'm pleased to confirm that there was no slipping over at Valley Parade. I was extra careful, but it was genuinely, as some of the players were saying, one of the worst pitches they've ever encountered, even those that have played non-league football. And I think we realised as soon as we got there that this game might not go to form. It might not be a vintage footballing performance. It was going to be a case of who adapted best to the conditions. And when we got there was concern about whether the game would go ahead or not. So, to get from that point to where we are now was a bit of a bumpy road. But, thankfully, no trousers were harmed in the making of this adventure.
It was fascinating as well to get Beryley's insight as well, listening to the commentary, because he was saying that, Matt Bloomfield had said to them before about, not passing back too much to Max because the conditions would be so tricky. Yeah, and that's, so we got there and the referee had concerns about two areas of the pitch. I think that was being generous because, the whole pitch really was sodden, it was muddy, there was sand in some areas. And his main take on it was that it wasn't so concerned about player safety. With frozen pitches, you get concerns of players, slipping and having bad injuries. It wasn't so much player safety. It was just going to be the detriment of the game as a spectacle. Matt's approach was, we're here to play some football. There was no doubt. I think doubts create some uncertainty amongst the squad and amongst the coaching staff. So it was, no, we're going to play whatever the pitch is like. We've made the journey. We've got a busy schedule coming up. We're in the right frame of mind for a game of football, so let's have one. And with that comes, as Beryley alluded to, how do we make this to our advantage? How can we play the pitch? What do we need to do to make the most of it? There will be mistakes, there will be people slipping, so how do we try and maximise that? You could argue perhaps it wasn't, the best of Wycombe Wanderers' performances, and probably Bradford did adapt better to the conditions, and you have to commend them for what was a fantastic performance. But ultimately, we got the result we wanted. And, you and I have had a good few chats like this down the years of, the morning after chats of glorious nights in the history of Wycombe Wanderers. We're off to Wembley Stadium for a fourth time in 10 years, having waited, I think, 21 years, to get there between 94 and 2015. So these are golden years at Wycombe Wanderers, and how we get there, such as the game at MK Dons where we were battening down the hatches and keeping them at bay, and similar last night. Those will be forgotten about when we're walking out at Wembley, shoulder to shoulder with an excellent Peter Preside, with hopefully a healthy number of Wycombe fans to cheer us on, and we can have a wry smile at at how we got there maybe. But yeah, fantastic night, and one that everyone should be proud of. And I'm sure really hard work, but really rewarding as well for yourself to getting the information out to fans last night as well, and sharing all those images and quotes. And those dressing room scenes are fantastic to see as well.
Yeah, loads more to come as well. The internet wasn't too healthy for us down the M6, so and also people had gone to bed, so there's only so much you can put out in the middle of the night. But these are the scenes that the people want to see, and we have to pinch ourselves and remind ourselves that those of us who work for the club, myself and Phil, Luke, our videographer who was up there with us, Andy, our photographer who's been with us now for 10 years as well, they're deeply ingrained in the club. They care about the fans, the players, the people around it, and for them to be at the epicentre of it, on the pitch, in the changing room, capturing the scenes and sharing them with thousands of fans is a real special privilege for us. So, great to be amongst it, and even better to see all of the responses from fans, to see the videos coming in from Adams Park of the celebrations, and speaking to the players afterwards and seeing the genuine joy on their faces. For many of them, this is going to be a first time at Wembley. Some of them, like Matt Butcher, have got unfinished business, having been on the losing end last season in the final. So, all of these stories and all of these images and videos, we've now got 6 weeks really to rejoice in and get ourselves ready for Wembley.
And there must be so much work going on behind the scenes as well to prepare for that game too.
Yeah, and of course, the obvious question is, when can I get a ticket? How much are tickets? What end are we going to be in? What kit are we going to be in? It's all being worked on. We're in close dialogue with the EFL, with Wembley, with Peterborough. We're looking at early next week for the announcement, really, of at least the headline details. We fully expect and are planning that we will be selling the tickets rather than using a third party, which most clubs do at Wembley. We did it 2 years ago in the playoff final to great success. It gives us so much more flexibility. It gives fans option to choose their own seat. So, fantastic work from our ticketing department to be getting that ready. So they are beavering away now, knowing that we will be at Wembley Stadium, and as soon as we've got information, we shall share it. So, the hard work is underway, but unlike the playoffs where you have 2 weeks to prepare, we have 6 weeks. So it gives us time to really think out how we can maximise the opportunity, ticketing-wise, retail-wise, and above anything, just engaging with as many supporters as possible and exciting them into a day out at Wembley, whether they're regular Wycombe fans or just come along to one or two a season. This is a game where we should really be looking to empty High Wycombe for a day, get on board the Chiltern Railways down to Wembley and have a day out.
And perhaps wait a long time to get the train back. But it's a great opportunity to drum up support. Oh, apologies, done a terrible pun there. But also, it must be great for the manager as well after 12 months in charge actually on the day of his 12 months in charge as well, to having led the club as captain at Wembley and then to be going as manager as well.
Yeah, and I think we just had a hunch that something special was going to happen on the anniversary. Once we realised the dates coincided. And look, it's no secret over the last 3 months there have been some pretty difficult times with results, fan unrest, injuries and suspensions, and not being able to get a best 11 together, and refereeing decisions going against us. And Matt's got a very positive outlook. After games, he can be quite stern, and he takes everything so much to heart because he's a very intense and passionate and caring guy. But when we've reflected on it, when we've been away from the cut and thrust of a match day, we've really looked longer term and putting all of his plans into place and accepting these aren't going to be overnight changes. Managers need time to embed themselves and everything they want to achieve and their values into a club. And we've said, let's look down the line into what success will look like once we come out of this bump. We'll be able to look back at Barnsley away with the Max Striak incident and Morecambe at home in the FA Cup and almost have a wry grin of thinking, do you remember those bumps on the road to success? Every manager has them. And I think what's been quite nice is that this trophy has just been little bright lights in some dark times, really. After the bleak day against Stevenage with the injuries and all the kind of ill feeling that came around that game, the following week we beat Wimbledon in the trophy. After the game against Fleetwood, where the first half performance was completely unacceptable against the team bottom of the league, and there was a lot of fan unrest. 4 days later, we beat Brighton 4-1 in this trophy. And I think these games have kind of punctuated our season, whereby they've just been able to instill a bit of feel-good factor, some morale, some goals, putting some smiles on the faces of the boys. And I think that's just helped keep everyone's spirits up. And it now culminates in a day out at Wembley. And you're right, from Matt Bloomfield, who's been there before as a player, as a captain, as a coach, now to be going back there as manager, he's going to be the proudest man in the country that day. And he deserves it.
And I think as well there's a real chance that this cup run and this success can be a real tonic for the remaining games of the season as well.
Yeah, we're kind of in that, that space in the middle of the table at the moment where, the playoffs look a long stretch away. A few results ago, people were looking over their shoulders at downwards in the table. We just want to put as many points on the board and have a strong end to the season and see where it gets us. And having this cup run alongside us, I don't think will be a distraction. I think the two will complement each other. It will bring in a step of people. Nobody wants a season that peters out with 6 weeks to go and you're just playing for, a couple of league positions, really. We like the cut and thrust of real competitive football. And I think, the cup run in itself will just draw more attention to the club. And that's what it's about, is about giving our fans special moments to look to. And the fans that we pick up along the way are going to want to come down to Adams Park and see what we're about. It's not just about Wembley Stadium. It's about taking these boys to heart and these performances and the atmosphere of being around with the Wanderers. So, we've got some exciting games to look forward to here. Portsmouth, Derby still to come here. We've got the Reading down the road in a few weeks' time. Some real standout fixtures that will be exciting ones to be involved in. And then there'll be that blot on the horizon that will get closer and closer as we get towards Wembley Stadium in April.
And it's been really nice to see what the club's doing off the pitch as well, especially, with half-term. There's Joe and Jasper who are at the Eden Centre, and Joe's been, and other players as well have been at the Foundation's half-term activities as well. Yeah, it's just absolutely integral to our success. There's 30 footballers and 10 coaching staff that can, really make a difference on the pitch, but those of us off the pitch have to look at what we can do to make this club a success, and at the heart of that is being in the community and being involved with our supporters, not just being an entertainment thing for them to come and watch. We're not just a TV show and we're not just a 90 minutes football on a Saturday, but we are deeply entrenched in our community. The foundation do so much wonderful work, and the players, when they can get out, they do have busy training schedules. It's not possible to get them, out and about everywhere. But when we get these opportunities, particularly during half term, we want to make the most of them. And it is still, at my dear old age, still really heartwarming to see faces running back to their parents when they've got Joe Jacobson signing their shirt or having a photo with them and cherishing them. There's a wonderful photo I saw last night of a young girl in the away end who received Gareth McCleary's shirt. She went to sleep wearing it. Let's realise the impact that Wycombe Wanderers and its players can have on people. She's going to remember that night for the rest of her life. I can remember my day as a mascot here at Wycombe Wanderers back in 95, 96, I think it was, like it was yesterday. And these experiences that this club can create are really special, and we should never lose sight of that. No, absolutely. And of course, no loss for Gareth, who really needs a shirt anyway. Exactly, yeah. I think he's petitioning to just start games but not wearing a shirt, I think. He doesn't mind giving those away. Matt Cecil speaking to us earlier this morning here on Wycombe Sound. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget the Stevenage game live from 3, build up from 2 here on Wycombe Sound and on Wanderers TV. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Come on, you Blues!